What's going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon, and I'm doing this is going to be my post-game analysis video for the Arizona Cardinals game. I want to start off by apologizing for yet again being late. As you guys can imagine, life is getting crazier and crazier, and as it stands, it looks like there are some high probabilities that I'll either be without a place to live in the next few months, or at the very least have to take a trip and go out of town and do some stuff that will likely leave me MIA from my channel for a little bit. Yeah, so we'll see. Although I could theoretically maybe do some little videos here and there on the road. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, life is getting really crazy, obviously, so we'll have to see how it plays out. Also, though, this video and my videos going forward will probably be pretty short and to the point, or at least to the best of my ability, because yeah, like I said, I got lots of other stuff going on that needs my attention and focus. So I'm not going to give you all the stat breakdown and stuff in this video. I'm just going to kind of give you, my overview of how I saw the game, playing out and so on and so forth. So real quick, before I do mention or get into that, I just want to mention the fact that the NFL continues to have significant COVID issues across the entire league, or at least a good portion, about half the league is still dealing with COVID issues, and the owners just approved the 16-team playoff format because, of course, they're doing absolutely everything they can to make sure that the season goes on. Because, look, I mean, I just don't know, real quick, I just don't know, I don't understand how people can reconcile and say, like, okay, yeah, they don't, like, the one thing that they care about is not the money. That they, like, I don't understand how people could reconcile and say that they care about, like, health and safety when it's clear that they don't. And it's clear that the only thing, literally the only thing that they care about is the money. And that's the only reason why they are pushing so hard for the season to go on. Anyway, whatever. You guys get it. You've seen my videos and I know what I think about that. I just wanted to mention that real quick because that is, pretty big news. And it looks like they might be expanding the playoff format to 16 teams, which, I mean, that's half the fucking league. Just off of that, it definitely decreases the quality of the game, let alone in all the other ways that, football has been just a giant mess this season with the injuries that continue to pile up across all teams, including the Dolphins now. So, I don't know. It's just a giant fucking mess. So we'll see how all that plays out. Right, so let's get into this game. Alright, because I want to try and keep it, as concise as possible. Look, at the end of the day, the Dolphins got a good win. I told you it was going to be a big test. Overall, it turned out and proved to be a harder test than even the week before, because as I said, I believe that the Cardinals offense is better than the Rams offense, but the Rams defense, I think, I would say, is a bit better than the Cardinals defense. So you have a little bit of a trade-off there, but the matchup overall I figured would be harder for this Dolphins team, and it was. That is true. Having said that, they did play a really good game overall, and you actually did get to see a couple flashes from Tua. Now, of course, the media and everybody's hyping it up like he had some breakout game and he started lighting it up. Look, that was not the case. It just wasn't. And again, it's not to say that he won't get there. It's not to say that he's bad or any of that. It's just simply to say that that's not the case. That's not, how it bore out. Because frankly, for the vast majority of the game, the offense was still just kind of meh, right? Now, it is also fair to say that they improved, which is what you want to see. You want to see improvement and you want to see consistency, right? And so what are they going to do next week and the week after that and the week after that? More so, what are they going to do next year, right? And all that stuff. Now, I would say that with the schedule coming up, they have some really favorable games, and I would project the Dolphins to be winners out of their next 4 games because of the teams that they play, right? So they're about to play, I believe the Chargers are up next, with the Broncos after that, right? And then they're going to have like the Jets again somewhere after that, whatever. I'm pulling it up right now, right? So, yeah, so they got the Chargers, the Broncos, then the Jets, and then the Bengals. All 4 of those games are definitely winnable games, right? And so that would be my expectation. Look, and because of how the season played out, right? So going into the season with the data that I had at the very beginning, right? This was pre all of the injuries and all of that stuff, right? Like the 49ers game, if they were at full strength, there's no way there's no way it would have turned out the way it did, as much of a blowout in Miami's favor. But my guess is if they actually had a full fucking, were at full health, and their team wasn't completely decimated, they likely would have actually even won the game. So, but anyway, but look, and so the fact of the matter is though, is things change, right? And so my projection now is the Dolphins should at least secure the next 4 wins, or I'm going to project them, especially because in this game, they didn't have the bad opponent, issue, right? Whatever, or excuse rather, because they weren't. Now, it is fair to also know that they were without, Kenyon Drake, which is a big part of their offense, and also Dre Kirkpatrick on defense, and they did sustain some injuries in the game as well, although we are hurting a little bit more in that department than they were. We sustained more injuries, which I will talk about. But yeah, so it wasn't a bad team. They didn't have that excuse, and they weren't severely, they had a couple injuries and definitely some key ones, some big ones. But with the Dolphins also starting to unfortunately have injuries pile up, and especially ones in this game in particular, it was pretty even, right? So they didn't have that as an excuse either. Now, also, when it comes to the officiating, I'm going to say right off the bat, the officiating was just terrible across the board. Overall, I would say that it was pretty much even when it comes to how it actually affected the game. I would say maybe it leaned a little bit in the Dolphins' favor, but as far as, how the penalties actually affected the game and at what times and what the results were, so on and so forth. So the Dolphins definitely got some help in that regard, but they took advantage of it, right? And so that's good. They also definitely lucked out at the end of the game because, Zane Gonzalez, their kicker, somehow managed to miss the game-tying field goal that would have at least pushed it into overtime. He was just short. He was on target. He just somehow was a little short. It was mind-boggling. But anyway, it happened, and we got the win, so I'll fucking take it. But they did luck out in that regard as well. But anyway, so they didn't have those things as excuses. They took advantage of, the mistakes that they made and whatnot, the penalties. It was overall even, but there were just egregious penalties on both sides. Like, they were just calling total crap calls, right? Like all fucking day on both sides. That's why I said like it was pretty even. So, that wasn't a deciding factor overall, even though I would say just marginally it favored the Dolphins a little bit, right? But it wasn't a huge factor. So overall, I would say that the defense actually took a little bit of a step back from their dominant performance last week. Overall on the season, they're still doing good and trending in the right direction. They just got to stay healthy. But just simply going from the performance that they had, because obviously they didn't get 4 turnovers in this game, so on and so forth, right? So they did get some turnovers, but not 4, right? So they had a slight step back in defensive performance, but obviously played way good enough. And look, it's absolutely true that you're not going to be able to count on defensive scores every week. But they got 2 in a row, right? In other words, got one last week, got one this week. And you could argue certainly that was the game decider, right? The defensive score could have been, because if we didn't have that touchdown, they would have won, right? So, good on the defense. Overall, they're still trending in the right direction as long as they stay healthy. The offense did improve, right? Their stat line definitely improved. And they definitely had more... overall more production, even though the run game was still, you know, kind of struggling, particularly with, you know, the guys being out that were out. And again, you actually got to see a couple flashes from Tua. He did not have the kind of performance that a lot of people are making it out to be. It was not some spectacular breakout performance. First of all, he's only been in 2 games. So there's that. But also, it was all right. It was all right because the vast majority and most of the deep shots he took, he only connected on 1, which was great. And again, that's an improvement, but he took a few of them and missed on most of them, right? Including one that really should have been an interception. So it was literally the play after the, like, whatever it was, 30, 40 yard, you know, bomb that he completed to Preston Williams, right? So it was the play directly after that. It was another deep shot that got intercepted, but because the defender, you know, when he hit the ground, he didn't control it and the ball came out. I mean, you guys know how I feel about the catch rule. I think it's super stupid. And honestly, I probably would have still ruled it an interception. Although anyway, whatever. It's irrelevant. Point is, ball came out and it was, no matter what, it was a likely interception, right? So, and that drive we scored a touchdown on, if I'm not mistaken. So you could have even said that touchdown should have come off the board because it should have been a turnover, but it wasn't. So a little bit of luck there, right? You know, and then other than that, it was really just a bunch of, again, runs with dink and dunk passes and stuff like that, which again is not necessarily a bad thing, and it's not really a knock on Tua, but he still had, but it just goes to prove though that he has to get comfortable. He has to build chemistry with these guys. Just like I was saying, he's gonna make rookie mistakes, which he has in both of these games now, and you know, he's still got to learn the rest of the playbook. So it's expected that those things are going to be the case. Now, you did see some flashes. So like the one deep shot that he did connect on, a flash, right? And then there was a couple scrambles that he had, which were nice. Now, there's one in particular that everybody's raving about where he got like 20-something yards or something like that. It might have even been on a 3rd down or whatever, got a fresh set, whatever, right? And it was great. It was a great play, don't get me wrong. But when you look at the replay, right? So the pocket starts to collapse around him. He kind of drops back. Almost gets sacked on the initial bust of the pocket. Drops back, almost gets sacked again as he does this like little spin thing. Then he kind of wiggles around, steps up through the pocket, almost gets sacked like 1 or 2 more times as he's trying to squeeze through this little hole that he manages to, and then breaks off, you know, for like another 15, you know, or so yards after that, right? And it was great, but he almost got himself sacked like 4 times. And there were also some pretty bad throwaways that he had in this game as well. One of which was almost an interception, but he lucked out on that one because of the fact that the defender who caught the ball right before he caught it had stepped out of bounds and didn't have enough time to reestablish himself in bounds before making the catch and then, you know, toe tapping on the sideline. So they definitely had considerable luck and things bounce in their favor, which honestly helped them secure the win. Now, they got a good win over a good team that wasn't decimated by injuries, and the offense showed some improvement, and you got to see some flashes out of Tua. So that's, you know, the right direction to go in, but they still have a long way to go. Long way to go, especially when you consider that how fucked up this season is, right? There's still not even a guarantee that they're going to make it through the entire season. Real quick side note, you know, as you guys know, I do a thread on Twitter every day with an update of the numbers on COVID. Now, I do mine generally, you know, sometime around noon every day, noon to 1 o'clock. So the one that I did today was the past 25 hours from 12 noon yesterday to 1 p.m. today was when, 1 p.m. today is when I did my update, right? And yesterday's was 12 noon. So 25 hour span. My guess is that the official numbers from like Johns Hopkins and whatever goes, you know, from midnight to midnight, whatever time zone they're in. I think they're on the East Coast, right? I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that's the East Coast, because I think they're in like New York or something like that. Anyway, I'm pretty sure, you know, the official daily numbers go from midnight to midnight. But in my numbers, there were over 160,000 new cases just from the past 25 hours that I did it. Not to mention how bad it's getting across the league, etc. Not to mention the fact that we've had over 100,000 for like the past week and a half every single day, blah, 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 blah. We're not going to get too much into the politics and how everything's going that way, but point is, you know, there is still a potential, there is still a lot of potential that the season doesn't even play out in its entirety. But having said that, look, the Dolphins, because of everything that is going on now, we do have to wait and see how things play out, of course, because the Dolphins are starting to have some injuries mount. Jakeem Grant, Jerome Baker, they both got banged up in the game. So did Bobby McCain. In fact, it looked like he had a pretty significant knee injury, but all three of those guys were able to come back, but they are getting banged up. Preston Williams, on the other hand, ended up having to get carted off the field with a foot injury and will likely be out for a few games. So unfortunately, if the Dolphins do start to, if they start, they've already started. The past few weeks, the Dolphins have really started to stack some injuries. It's unfortunate, and the only way to stop it is to stop the season, but of course they're not going to do that because they don't really care. They just want to keep filtering bodies in no matter how bad the play is, no matter how bad the games are, no matter how many guys continue to get hurt, blah, 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 no matter how many lives they have to risk to COVID. Anyway, so then unfortunately, you know, some bad things could end up happening in the games going forward, right? In other words, you know, they could start to trail off, but we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully they stay healthy because they really could go on a run, right? They have those 4 games. Then they have the Chiefs. I'm still, you know, predicting the game against the Chiefs is going to be a loss. The Raiders and the Bills, those 3 games I'm still saying are going to be a loss. So right now we're 5-3. That would put us at 5-6. And then if we can win those other 4, and then because we have the Chargers, Broncos, Jets, Bengals, Chiefs, Patriots, Raiders, Bills. So if we did manage to get a win against the Chargers, Broncos, Jets, Bengals, and Patriots, then it's what, 4, another 5, that could be 10-6. We could be 10-6 on the season. Now, and that would, I don't think that would necessarily be enough to win the division. Maybe, but I'm guessing that the Bills are probably going to be more an 11-12 win team. So I don't think we're going to be able to win the division. There is still some chance and some probability, but obviously the Bills would have to lose, you know, some games going forward. And that last game of the season is against the Bills. So it could have some pretty major implications. We'll have to wait and see. But look, if it does, though, I'm going to say, you know, going into that game, let's say we're playing for the division, I'm going to say that the Dolphins will likely end up losing that game. I mean, that's my evaluation right now. The Bills are a really tough team. They are, you know, having injuries themselves. And again, we have to wait and see how the season plays out. But even then, I will likely still, you know, predict that that's going to be a loss for the Dolphins. But again, the next 4 games, I'm going to be predicting wins. So, and they can change my mind, you know, or whatever, depending on how they go the rest of the season and depending on how the data plays out, right? And the injuries and so on and so forth. But it has to start by taking care of the business that they should take care of, right? So beating the teams that they should. Now, having said that, and really to wrap this up, look, I mean, I hope that they do. I really do. I hope Tua stays healthy in particular. I hope this Dolphins team overall can stay healthy because, you know, I would love to see them go 10-6 and make it into the playoffs, right? Even if I still believe, which I almost certainly will, because of simply look, no matter what, at the end of the season, I'm going to temper, you know, my excitement or whatever for this team because this whole season has been completely fucked, right? In so many different ways. And it's impossible to evaluate any fucking team with any kind of real accuracy. It doesn't matter who it is, right? So because of that alone, I'm going to temper it. But, and then, you know, we got to wait and see how they do next year. If next year is fucked up at all from COVID, blah, blah, blah. But They could totally go on a fucking rip, right? Get four, the four next games they could reel off, end up being fucking 9-3 going into that Chiefs game. Maybe they surprise and beat the Chiefs. Probably not, but maybe, right? Who knows? But I'm going to say this, and again, this is to wrap it up. So I hope that they do. I really do. I want to see that. Again, I want to see them stay healthy, rip off a bunch of wins, get to 10 plus, make it to the playoffs, etc., etc. But just like, we saw with Adam Gase in his first year with the Dolphins, he did that, 10-6 playoffs, but things happen. Things that are not necessarily under your control and can cause you to take steps back. Now, having said that, I believe that, going into this season, I said that, their ceiling was probably 5 or 6 games under normal circumstances. Obviously, this is way far from a normal season. And so that's clearly changed. Now I'm, thinking they could, like I said, go 9 or 10 wins, based off of the change in data. And part of the reason why I'm not, why I would be tempering is because when you look at the overall picture, right, it's not so much, look, and this is not to say that the Dolphins have not improved. I think that they likely have. There is some evidence of that. Again, the offense, still has a long way to go, but there's definitely some evidence of that on the defense, right? Overall improvement. And so, but it's going to be overachieving is what I'm getting at, right? The Dolphins are unquestionably overachieving this season, right? So, not just by my expectations, almost everybody's, except for, hardcore Dolphins fans that are like over the top optimistic and we're predicting Super Bowl from the fucking jump, right? So like, aside from that, the reality is that almost nobody, the odds bettors, almost nobody expected the Dolphins to have anywhere near as good a season as they are, or expected to at this point, with good reason. And the reason why it's changed is because of all of the important factors and data that has changed along the way. So, no matter what, to wrap all that up, they had a great game against a good team that was not decimated by injuries. And so now, they're starting to show some, and you even got some flashes out of Tua. So now there's definitely some optimism. You can definitely say that there's been at least some steps forward, at least with the defense, potentially with the offense. We have to wait and see how it plays out. Again, consistency, and so on and so forth. We need to see more of that. But yeah, we have good things going forward. I do believe that it is, because of all these other factors, they are overperforming, but they're in a good place right now, and they have control of their destiny at this point, aside from the injuries. So that, again, just to say one last time, that is really going to be the big focus, because as long as they can stay healthy, they definitely have the potential, mostly riding on the back of that defense, especially, as the season progresses. Hopefully the offense, can really start to come into their own, and those flashes are not just flashes anymore, and he starts doing those things consistently, and better reaction time and smarter decisions, because he definitely made some poor decisions in this game that he kind of lucked out on, which we mentioned. But yeah, if they can stay healthy, then they're in good position for this year. So yeah, that's how I'm going to wrap it. Still ended up being about 25 minutes. It is what it is. You guys know I talk quite a bit. But yeah, so we're gonna enjoy this. Like I said, we got the Chargers coming up. So it's this game against the Chargers is going to be back in Miami. It's going to be an afternoon game again. It's going to be a 1 o'clock my time, 4 o'clock Eastern time game. I will be doing a live stream. I am still expecting to do a live stream for that game and a preview video on Saturday, which, is likely going to be shorter, to the shorter format and just quick to the point as best as I can with some tangents thrown in. Anyway, And that's really it. Otherwise, again, I apologize for the late video and a lot of that stuff recently. I'm doing my best to make sure that I maintain and get you guys, you know, the content and stuff. But so just bear with me. Things are getting crazy, and I will, you know, keep you guys informed of, you know, if I gotta leave town or if I'm gonna end up being homeless or, you know, whatever the case may be. You know, I'll definitely keep you guys informed on those developments as well. So yeah, with that, I'm gonna get out of here. I hope you guys appreciate my perspectives. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Share my channel and videos with your friends and family. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. And of course, as always, follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. And with that, I'm out. See y'all soon. Fins up.